turned my addiction to dopamine into something that I could monetize. Making money online is not as complicated as people make it seem. You don't need all of these overcomplicated funnels. I made my first 75,000 in 4 days with LinkedIn and email. That was literally it.
Today's guest went from feeling completely lost.
I was just an unemployed girl with no job, no hope, nothing. I felt invisible. I was just like, this is the last chance I have.
To building $1 million personal brand and becoming the #1 female creator on LinkedIn.
I thought I would never be able to make $1 offline, let alone 6 figures in days. When you're trying to make as much money as fast as possible, you need to create and have it so you can create. This is the art of mastering sales fast.
Faith is the belief in things unseen, and faith without works is that literally you had that faith and you put in the work, so you got the results.
She's spoken on stages around the world, been featured in Forbes, and built a content machine that fuels all of this. And today, she'll teach you how to do the same.
As I said, you built over $1 million personal brand, right? How have you done that?
Well, to build it, you have to...
Meet Lara Acosta.
Lara, you built $1 million personal brand. How? Talk to us.
Building a personal brand on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate cheat code for anyone who is trying to make either their first online dollar or their first million.
What was step one for you?
Step one,
Yeah.
being completely unemployed with absolutely nowhere to go, living at my parents' house where I grew up,
Yeah.
having to move back there after I thought I would make it after university, and having to start literally from zero. It was my breaking point.
And where was that?
It was during the pandemic in 2021 when it happened.
Yeah.
We were forced to leave university. And I went to visit my parents, obviously. And then that short-term visit ended up becoming a 2-year-long stint at home because of the pandemic. I couldn't return to the UK. So I went back home to Mexico. And that sent me into the most crazy speed run of understanding that everything that I had been taught through the education system and society was wrong. And everything I thought I wasn't. That's where it all started.
Boy, I mean, first and foremost, sorry to hear that. Or kind of happy to hear that because you had to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then what happened after that?
What happened?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, where did you go after that? So, okay, you've gone home and then everything's like feeling like it's over, right? It's feeling, for lack of a better word, helpless. Where did you go after that? Because I'm assuming that there's going to probably be a few people in the audience that are listening that are at a similar place right now.
So where did I go? I went to the internet.
Okay.
Like any typical Gen Z would, to look for help. You don't go to your family, you don't go to your friends, you go to Google and ask, why am I broken? The result was, you are not broken, you're just lacking some purpose. And so I went on a deep, meaningful search for purpose. But then I realized you can't find purpose because you need to know it first. And so I was seeking this purpose because I was so helpless and sad, and I just couldn't find something that inspired me. Getting a job wasn't inspiring because I kept on getting rejected. Building a business wasn't inspiring because I'd seen my family, my dad is an entrepreneur, burn out, work really long hours, all of these things. That wasn't inspiring either. Starting my own thing wasn't inspiring because I didn't feel inspiring either. And so that natural urge to build a business or that natural urge to serve other people through work wasn't there. And I remember I was sat in my room during the pandemic. One of those nights I was struggling so much and I was trying to decide what I was going to do with my life, because when you leave university and you graduate, they tell you that you're gonna get access to everything that you ever wanted.
Yeah.
The job security, the safety, the health support, your dream reality, your dream career. And after graduating, I had nothing. Just a blank piece of paper with a grade on it. That was meant to be my golden ticket, but it was nothing else than just a blank piece of paper that never served me anything. And so dealing with that disappointment of this grandeur dream of living this career that I thought I wanted was never there. I was desperate for purpose, and I read all the self-help books, and what they all have in common. They'll tell you, you need to find your why, you need to find your purpose, you need to find your why, Simon Sinek, all of these things. And I just couldn't find it. And you know how bad that makes you feel when everybody's just telling you to find your purpose and you can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
It is extremely humiliating to someone because you're already low. You already think that you're useless. And so my dad sat me down and he was like, sweetie, if you don't have a purpose, follow someone else's. And I think that is what most people should be doing when they're looking for purpose. You don't find it, it comes find you, but then for you to find that, you need to start figuring out what you like and what you don't like.
Okay.
Because I was like, I don't know what I like. I don't know what I don't like. And my dad was like, if you don't know what you like doing, then find what you hate doing first.
Fair enough.
And then from there, you reverse engineer what you may like about other things. And there's where I think the entrepreneurship journey started for me.
If you're liking this podcast so far, make sure that you click subscribe and you click like so that you're aware when we do post again and so that the message spreads out to other people like yourself. Look, we're trying to bless the world. We're trying to help people find their vitamin U. Help them do it too. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Speak soon.
And then when you were looking for, someone else's purpose, do you remember who you followed? Because it sounded like you just needed direction.
Yeah.
It sounded like you were directionless, but you just needed some sort of a direction.
Yeah, I needed direction, but not the direction that society gives you of like the 9 to 5, because that wasn't working. So my direction that obviously we are taught to follow wasn't working for me. What direction did I follow? I follow whatever the internet told me to do. So when you go on YouTube and you look for like how to get better, they tell you to start meditating. They tell you to start doing exercise. And as a result, you find other creators and entrepreneurs that are within that. So I found 3 people that changed my life: Joe Dispenza, Andrew Huberman, and Gary Vee. Those 3 people had so much purpose. And through their purpose, I found mine.
That is amazing. And what happened after you found your purpose? Well, actually, matter of fact, what would you say that your purpose is?
I guess I still don't know. I'm still finding it. And you know what? That's okay. That is completely fine that I don't know. But I think what I do know is that I'm pursuing happiness and creativity. And wherever that leads me, I think my purpose will be at the end of the road.
That's amazing.
I'm so young still. Like, I don't know. These are like all the scary open-ended questions that we get asked since we start, like, from the moment we have to choose what degree we want to do. Like, oh, what do you want to do? Like, no kid at 15 years old would know what they want to do for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
If you ask me what I wanted to do at 15 and what I do now, like, completely different answers. And I think that pressure for young entrepreneurs to know exactly what they want to be so fast is incredibly insane. And from me, someone that's had decent success now, it's completely okay to not know what you're doing or to not know where you're going. But what's not okay is to stay stagnant and not have movement and give up in whatever you're trying. Like, if you're gonna do something, go all in.
Yeah. So you decided that you wanted to start to find some sort of direction, and you started looking for the things you didn't like, the things you did like. And I'm assuming you found some stuff that did work, which was LinkedIn. So how did you start there? Because I remember you were, like we said earlier, you got to 10K. I think your first 10K without having like a logo or a landing page or something. So it sounded like you started imperfect.
Yeah.
So talk me through that. How did that work? Because there's going to be a lot of people that need to start, but then they're waiting to get perfect.
Well, first I didn't find LinkedIn like as in like, oh, I logged in and it was it. Like, I had tried drop shipping, SMMA, Etsy stores, all these other business models that you see as a side hustle.
Yeah.
I tried all the side hustles first because, well, I was looking for that purpose, and all of these tips and tricks, you'll find all of these videos about how to make an extra income on Etsy, an extra income via drop shipping. It's so easy. You could be living your dream life in Dubai and like writing in your underwear if you do that. Obviously, it's all a lie and it's all, deceiving marketing, but I did try. And then ultimately, I gave up because I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I never intended to start anything. All I wanted was to have all of these micro side hustles as a way of showing my expertise so I could put it back on my CV so I could eventually get hired for a corporate role. I never intended to be an entrepreneur.
Well, now you are. And now you are. Congratulations. Welcome to the club.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So how have you shaped your entrepreneur journey? Because now, as I said, you built a $1 million, well, over $1 million personal brand, right? How have you done that? Because as I said, there's going to be people watching this and even if I go from my perspective, because I've started my personal brand and I've been doing my personal brand. Maybe we should even get a definition of that, because what even does that mean? But I've been doing my personal branding thing for a few years. People know who I am. Sometimes they get stopped in the street and then people say, oh, you're Jonathan, or you're this person from TikTok, or you're that person, whatever. And that's great. But then how do you monetize that?
How do you monetize a personal brand?
How do you monetize a personal brand, Lara Acosta?
So there's two questions here. Like, do you want to know how to build one or how to monetize it?
Let's do build first.
Well, to build it, you have to focus on one key skill. And for me, it was writing. So I went on to a writing-led platform, which is LinkedIn.
Fair enough.
So I didn't want to be seen at all. I didn't want to be seen on video. I didn't want to be seen on photos because I was so deeply insecure about my looks.
Wow.
I had gained so much weight during the pandemic and I was just honestly ashamed of what I look like. I was 10, 20 kilos overweight. I had a lot of acne. I didn't know what was going on with my hormones. I was so stressed that I had cortisol face.
Wow.
So this means that my face was bloated.
Okay.
And so I just didn't feel like myself for a really long time, even when I started this entrepreneurship journey. Building a business or even trying is stressful. Like trying is probably the most stressful bit of starting anything in the world, and that's why so many people quit. It's not because it's hard, it's because it's like embarrassing to be seen trying something new. And I just didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be perceived. I just wanted to try and build on a skill.
Yeah.
And so writing on LinkedIn taught me so much: psychology, sales, persuasion, offer stacking, all of these things. And I didn't even have to show myself that much. So through that process, I learned all of these skills that people obviously miss. They miss because they think, oh, personal branding is just you create content, it goes viral, you make sales. It does not work like that. You need to have a high value skill that then you can monetize, and then you can, productize, and then you can sell. My high value skill for me was marketing.
Yeah.
Then I stacked up other skills that were also high value, like writing, sales, psychology, emails, persuasion. And over time, those skills led me to landing clients and then doing the same for them. And then ultimately scaling that up to, I went from, freelancer to glorified freelancer to actual agency owner, back to solopreneurship, then to running massive programs, and then to having like a full e-learning product and business that I run now. On top of now partnerships, keynote speaking, events, and all of these other income sources. And I think this is where people go wrong when they see personal brands making 6 or 7 figures. They don't understand that there's not just one offer, there's many. Back end, front end, everywhere. And so it is just not one avenue, it's many. So to build a personal brand, you first need to know what you're educating people in and what your unfair advantage is. So I was educating people on whatever I was learning because I had no high value skill. I left university with a degree that taught me really nothing. I knew, Maslow's hierarchy of needs because I studied business, and perhaps, how China's factories have such a supply chain problem,
what's that gonna do
so
for you?
complicated.
Yeah.
And those skills weren't applicable to the real world.
Yeah.
And therefore, the one skill that I could take away from all the essays that I wrote was writing. But however, that didn't translate very well onto short form content because writing an essay and writing online is very different. But I had the skill prior because I was addicted to social media, and that's a simple truth. Like, I turned my addiction to dopamine into something that I could monetize.
Okay.
And I think all Gen Z have this unfair advantage that we have such an innate understanding for technology that we can actually then create, magic internet money from our hobbies. But simply, people don't realize this because it seems so easy. And it is. But then the hard part is to keep going when you don't see rapid success, which is the paradox of, the internet. Because we're so used to dopamine that when we don't get it immediately, we don't want to try even further because we're not being rewarded immediately.
And what you said about trying earlier was so interesting. You said people don't want to be seen trying because it's embarrassing.
It is. It's cringy.
And do you think that that is like one of the biggest reasons because you literally teach hundreds of people. Am I wrong in saying hundreds of people?
No, thousands.
So I was wrong in saying hundreds of people. So you teach thousands of people how to, build their personal brand, monetize it, I'm assuming as well. What do you see people get wrong most of the time? Or like, where do you see them stumbling?
Depends on the person. It's usually two things. And most people are not gonna like what I say, but people think that they're too important. We have so much ego, and ego gets in the way so much. So when a seasoned entrepreneur wants to start building their personal brand, and they already have all of this experience and expertise and knowledge that they've stacked for over the last 20 years, and then you put them in front or against a 20-year-old who has none of that experience, was born literally when they probably turned over their first million as well.
Yeah.
And then they're seeing them get all of these viral content out. Their ego gets in the way, as in like, I'm not gonna reduce my knowledge to that same type of content because I shouldn't have to. I'm way too smart for this. And that is a problem with the game of social media. Some people just don't like the rules, but then they shouldn't be playing. And so that is the first thing, ego, where you feel like everybody should know you, that social media owes you this respect, and you shouldn't have to earn it because you already earned it somewhere else. So that is the first thing. The second thing is a lot of people are simply lost as to who they are. And I think for me, that's why personal branding changed my life. And that's why it made me lose 20 pounds. It made me, look a lot better. It made me speak.
You lost 20 pounds?
Yeah, like I lost 20 pounds in the process of building my personal brand. Why? Because there was so much self-awareness coming through the self-iteration of myself through writing.
Yeah.
Writing is a journaling process. And so through writing, I was learning more about my thoughts, because we as a society, especially Gen Z, we do not think anymore. We do not have time to think. We don't make time to be bored. We're always online and never off. And so when you start writing for at least 1 hour every single day about whatever, or even trying, or even learning how to write, you are reflecting on what do you write about. Okay, the first question any social media marketing guru will say, even any LinkedIn guru will say, when you start building a personal brand, what do you want to be known for? And that question usually sends people off to like a massive thinking spiral, because a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
Because again, we're conditioned to be something that we don't want to be, or someone told us that we should be. You're an A-star student. You're like a football player, or you're meant to be a doctor, you're a lawyer. No, you're you. But who is that?
Yeah. So we're always trying to figure out. So the first question we get asked, and what people usually stumble on, is like, what do you even want to be known for? But people don't even know who they are. How do you find out who you are? Because for me, it's taken a lot of self-analysis. It's taken a lot of self-work. It's taken journaling. It's taken writing. So I guess I'm a writer too, but just privately. So it's taken a lot of writing too. I do speak, indeed. So, but then in terms of looking internally, it's taken a lot of jotting stuff down and really looking within. And I've had to actually set aside off time throughout my day. Every single morning, after I journal, after I pray and get into the Bible and such, I literally have off time for like half an hour. I sit down, lights off, quiet, just think.
Yeah.
And just watch my thoughts go. And I learn so much about myself when I do that as well. And it's so weird because I just turn off the noise. It's like, there's so much noise. Every single day we're listening to this person, listening to that person, listening to someone on the train, listening to a podcast, listening to music. There is always something going on, and we don't actually have enough time to think. So now that you've had time to think, and now you put your thinking power to use, talk about that business that you built. Because you're telling me some impressive figures. You said 1 million from your personal brand so far. And I remember seeing someone, was it 200K? Was it 100K in 4 days?
Yeah.
100K in 4 days. I'm assuming at one point that felt impossible.
Yeah, I first made 75K in 4 days, then over 100K in 4 days, then we made a little bit more the next time. I got around 145K. So keeping it up every single time.
Love that.
But yeah, 100%. I thought I would never be able to make $1 offline, let alone 6 figures in days.
And when you did that, actually, not even when you did that, how did you do that? Talk to me about the system. Yes, how? Talk to me about the system behind that.
So it's called a launch model, and that's why I prefer them. I think social media is very cyclic, especially how I utilize it. The way my personal brand is built, and I've done this very intentionally, is I never wanted to be seen or known as the person that's always selling, because that's very icky. And that is very old school, and I don't enjoy it. And I do not want people to think that all I want to do is sell to them, because that's not part of like my mission as
Right.
a creator and entrepreneur. I want to be a vessel of information
Mm.
that distills the hardest insights into powerful micro lessons that my younger self could have learned. And so part of that of a launch is having a very loyal following that like you and trust you for your specific expertise.
Right.
And so for a year beforehand, I had built this personal brand that I had never ever monetized. I'd always monetized my personal brand off the back end. I never sold anything publicly.
For 365 days, you never said to people, I am selling this thing, come and buy it here.
No, people would find my agency off the back end. So I never really sold publicly. I never like had like, 5 spots open for my agency. I'm looking for more ghostwriting clients. I have this new coaching of like, I never really did that because if I'm completely honest, I just felt insecure and not worthy of selling on LinkedIn.
Wow.
But no one's going to promote you at the end of the day, so you have to start self-promoting.
Absolutely.
But I think this is a common thing that young entrepreneurs or even people that are starting from scratch have. And I completely understand, because you don't feel like you've earned your right to sell online, or you feel like it's a little bit cringy, or you feel like people are judging you for trying to sell yourself, or whatever it is. Like there's a lot of judgment included, and I was part of that I just didn't feel worthy of selling something. Even though I was doing cool things with clients, I had this anxiety that I thought people would cancel me, that all the entrepreneurs who had a lot of followers there would judge me for selling products that they were also selling. Like on LinkedIn, there's a lot of competition, and I'm competing against the entrepreneur who's been in the game for 40 years longer than me. I'm competing with the VC-backed agencies. I'm competing with the Forbes 30 and the 30. So internally, I had a lot of disbelief for myself. And so one day I was like, I'm tired. Like, I definitely have some leverage because I had built an insane following by now. I think I had built my following to 50K, 60K, 70K by then without monetizing it. And one of my mentors told me, like, Lara, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you have so much more leverage, and all of these other agency owners are earning more than you right now. And you're wasting it because you're scared of being seen. And that really resonated with me. I had this conversation over and over with multiple people, and then it resonated, like, there's this thing called unteachable lessons, where people will tell you the lesson, like, you have to monetize yourself. No one's going to promote you. You have to actually do self-promotion. You have to put yourself out there. And you're like, yeah, I don't have to. But then you learn the hard lesson through having a hard time. And for me, it was like I had to decide whether I wanted to go all in on this social media marketing agency thing in business, or if I just was going to graduate, finishing my master's, which was when I was building my LinkedIn. I was building my LinkedIn and finishing my master's degree at the same time. And so I had to make the decision of, am I going to go all in, or am I going to get out? And I went all in. And so I had built my personal brand. That's step one. So through content,
to about 70K.
So?
To about 70K.
60K, 70K, yeah,
60K,
around that,
70K.
maybe 50.
All right.
So the first thing is you need to generate attention, and the easiest, fastest way to generate attention is through writing. LinkedIn and Twitter are free platforms that literally give you millions of impressions, and all you have to do is write every single day. So when you reframe it like that, it stops being like, oh, I have to post. I get to post on this platform that is exposing me to millions and millions of people and millions of decision makers every single day. And all I have to do is write about one problem, one solution, one pain point, and let it go next day, and so on and so forth. So first, create content to generate attention. Then the next bit is storytelling to create engagement.
Right.
So a lot of people struggle to trust people because they don't know enough about them. They know what they do, but they don't know who they are.
Oh.
So storytelling is so important to get people to like you and trust you, because through education they know you. Through stories they like you and they trust you, because you can then connect to different pain points that other people couldn't. And my favorite example for this would be a personal trainer. There's an abundance of personal trainers. Like it's probably one of the most saturated niches, but people are still making money because they're targeting specific people with specific pain points. And usually those people that are the personal trainers that are winning are the personal trainers that had struggled with the same issues that their ICP has. So for example, if a personal trainer is targeting women with PCOS and hormonal imbalances and trying to heal it through holistic medicine and practices that she healed herself through, then she's a lot more relatable to that person that is going through what she says she's gone through and healed.
Yeah, and very niche.
And very niche.
Yes.
But still very broad. Because, you're talking about top, weight loss activities, dieting, macros, that's top of funnel.
It's just one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I say one way of doing it, it's just like one solution to that problem. So it's a broad problem, but it's like a specific solution.
So then storytelling then helps you convey those specific problems. Like at the end of the day, if a woman wants to lose weight, they still need to be on a calorie deficit. But on top of that, she knows that, there's like ashwagandha medicine or like whatever it is and whatever type of diet it is that works best for inflamed women that struggle with hormonal acne or whatever. And so by her talking about those specific problems and stories that she went through, she becomes a lot more likable to her target audience and perhaps other people that maybe aren't her ideal client, but have met other people that have gone through that and then they resonate, right? So then the storytelling aspect comes into it. And then when you build that loyalty and following, people will expect you to sell them something. Like, I think the trust is earned, but you need to give first. So a lot of people want to take first, but you need to give. It's the same with networking. It's the same in sales. It's the same in business. You need to become a valuable asset to whoever you are around. And you do that through free content. You give value for free. Whatever it is, you give it for free. I scaled my personal brand so quickly because everything I learned, I just told people that I learned it. I never gatekept anything. And there's so much stigma around, oh, don't give everything you know away for free. Like, what are you gonna say for your clients? And you're like, information is literally free. It's the biggest commodity we have right now. ChatGPT probably knows more than me and everyone else in the world combined.
Yes.
So why am I keeping this information like it's my precious thing?
Yeah.
When I know an AI could be doing it better than me, but what I know that it couldn't do better than me is explaining it the way I would.
Yeah.
And so through that, you're gaining trust because guess what? People who take the information that you give away were either never going to buy from you because they were gonna figure it out by themselves, or they're gonna like it and they're gonna be like, she's competent, he's competent, I wanted you to do it for me. That's the person that you want to work with anyway, because they have the money to spend but they don't have time. You need to be targeting people that are cash rich and time poor. That's what you want. And so that's how I then sort of like pivoted onto launching my first digital product, which was literally LinkedIn, which was a program. It was an 8-week program that we sold on a timeline. So the timeline element is very important. When you're trying to make as much money as fast as possible, you need to create tension and have a timeline so you can create FOMO. This is the art of mastering sales fast. So you release an offer, you tell them this is going to expire this date, you have 4 days to buy. And then through that, you target them with different elements of pain solutions, case studies, and so on and so forth. And through that time, you also remind them that the offer is going to expire. And so that's how I kind of like sped run through to 70K, 100K plus in days. Because
look, I've changed my whole life through podcasting. I used to not have a network. I didn't have a business before. I used to work the job that I didn't necessarily like. People didn't know me as a speaker. I didn't have a personal brand, but my whole life has changed ever since we grew our first podcast, which was a top 5% most shared. We got millions of social impressions online and people coming up to me in public asking me, are you this person? I said, yes, I am. And it all came through a podcast. Now, if you want to do something similar and build your own podcast, then click on the link down below to book a call with myself or my team, and we can speak about getting you started with your own podcast. Whether you want us to handle it for you or you want me to teach you how to do it, we can do it both ways. Speak to you soon.
So how did you do that without selling on your LinkedIn?
Oh, then I did. That through that launch, then I did.
Only the 4 days out of 365?
Yeah.
Mad. Okay, so those 4 days, I'm assuming you were speaking on LinkedIn and then you were also speaking on your emails too. And there must have been other stuff going on. Do you do SMS and stuff like that too? Or is it no SMS?
I'm so tired of like making money online is not as complicated as people make it seem. You don't need all of these overcomplicated funnels and all of these crazy things and automations and nothing, absolutely nothing. I made my first 75,000, 80,000, whatever in 4 days with LinkedIn and email.
Yeah.
That was literally it. I had a website by then that was made on Canva.
I don't even know you made your website on
We made the
Canva.
website on Canva. We charged through Stripe. It's literally not, the logo was shared. Like, business and making money is not complicated. We overcomplicate ourselves because we have such a limiting belief around money that we believe making money is hard. It is not hard. What's hard is putting yourself out there and then delivering a product worth the money that you think you're charging, and that is where people are going so wrong.
How did you do that?
What?
How did you break that limiting belief? Because you said there was a point where you didn't even think you make $1, but then you made 175 in 4 days. Obviously, you built that up, but how did you break that limiting belief?
By doing it. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to break this limiting beliefs. You're not gonna read this book and it's gonna change your mind. You're not gonna hear this podcast because you've already heard it all before. You need to put yourself in the tough spot where it's like all in or nothing.
Yeah.
And I consistently put myself in these all in situations where I could lose it or I can win it all, and I always win because even when I lose, I win. I win experience, I win expertise, or I win friendships, or I win a big lesson. And so I didn't think I could do it. I was so scared. I was scared so hard. I thought no one was going to buy what I was winning. I was so nervous. And the thing that inspired me the most was the people that I was around that believed in me more than I would ever believe in myself. And I always say that all of my success is attributed towards the people that I'm around because they believed in me before I ever could.
Wow.
And so every time I do something, I may not always believe in myself, but I believe in the people that believe in me.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest hack for any entrepreneur is surround yourself by people who truly have your best interest at heart and that are knowledgeable, are caring, and are loving towards you and want the best for you. Because entrepreneurship is really lonely, but it can also be so, so, so warming if you are around the right people. And that's why I love LinkedIn so much. Every single friend I have now, I've met through that because they're all entrepreneurs. We all want to see each other win because we know there's enough room in the table that we're all sitting.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so that's the money mindset behind, I guess, doing things. Like, you just have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Reading a book is easier than doing the thing.
Of course.
Writing about it is easier than doing the thing. Talking to someone about it, paying someone even to give you coaching about it is easier than doing the thing. But we avoid doing the thing because we're simply scared of failing. And that fear of failure is what's making people fail in the end of the day.
Absolutely. And with yourself, one thing about this podcast, Vitamin U, is we like to find out what makes you you and how you've used that to get to where you are right now. And it's sounding like, number one is persistence. That's one of the things that you have. Number two is getting good people around yourself. What else would you say comprises your Vitamin U? So like, what would you say comes together, different parts of you, to build who you are to this day?
My dad.
Your dad. Talk to me about your dad. We got pops.
My dad is the most amazing man in the entire planet, and I live through him every single day. My dad and God, I guess. And
Amen.
So every time I'm in doubt, I just think about him. It goes away.
Wow.
And so having such a, strong dad image or
Father figure.
Father figure.
Yeah.
And a strong mother as well. Like, she's amazing.
We got Mumsy.
And my mum. But she doesn't like being mentioned, so we don't mention her. But
All good.
she's low-key. I feel like I live my life through my dad's purpose. Because that's what I followed as well when I was lacking mine. And so that inspires me, and that's what makes me so unique. Being loved by my dad.
That is so nice. That is so nice. Let me get that is so nice, man. Okay, cool. So that's what makes you you, and that's some of the biggest reasons that you got to where you are right now. And you started to walk me through that 4-day launch that you usually do, right? What's going to be different about this one? Or are you just doing it the same way?
Same way. This one is a little bit quieter. I usually go all in on the launches. This is going to be for a micro product, so it's not meant to be a big deal. It's just like an extra launch. So I think the first few launches are very important for an entrepreneur to stack that confidence.
Yeah.
I think there's this really good quote by Alex Hormozy where he says, you don't gain confidence by shouting affirmations at the mirror. You gain confidence by simply doing the work.
Yeah.
And getting the results. And that is what differentiates the successful entrepreneurs and not, including myself. There's nothing special about me.
Yeah.
I just went ahead and did the thing that 99% of people are scared of doing.
But you said in terms of doing the work and such, how do you do the work when stuff like external things happen? So for example, one of my friends the other day, shout out to Austin, he said, oh yeah, LinkedIn impressions, like why are the LinkedIn impressions so low? And then a couple of other people were saying the same thing as well. And now I'm looking at my LinkedIn, I'm like, hold on a sec. I'm getting a lot less impressions, a lot less engagement than I usually was. And how do you still operate even when things like that happen?
I don't look at it.
You don't look, what do you mean?
Again, I'm so lucky. I'm blessed, and also not really with the fact that I don't look at numbers. Like, I'm not data driven.
So hold on. So you're not data driven?
I'm not data driven whatsoever.
So you usually operate on vibes?
I just operate on vibes, yeah.
How do you operate on vibes? Talk to me, Lara. How do you operate on vibes and build a 7-figure business?
Because I think that a woman's natural instinct is to lead with emotion rather than logic. I think that's a very manly, dominant trait from men. And whenever I switched onto that type of mentality of logic versus emotion, I lose. Not because, logic is only for men or numbers are only for men, but I tend to do better when I just follow my intuition, and that is vibes. So what does actually following your intuition mean? So I don't get too fluffy. It just means if I feel like this post is good, it's gonna perform good. If it didn't perform good, then I'm gonna do it again until it does. And that is basically what a logical person would do, but in my way. Because if I obsess about the numbers and I'm in this stupid algorithm talk about impressions are so low, all of these things, like what's gonna happen to me? I'm gonna be stuck in this negative bias conversation where it's like, oh, impressions are low, and you're repeating these limiting beliefs to yourself.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Why would you put yourself in rooms where people are talking like that?
Yeah.
Who cares? And yeah, of course I care. Of course I use it in my marketing. It's great. But who cares about being so zoomed in where you could be zooming out and seeing the bigger picture?
Yeah.
And if the bigger picture is telling you that if you post every single day and 3 of those posts get really good impressions and those two of them flop, you're on the right track as long as you don't give up. It's easy for people to go viral and get millions of impressions and then drop out. Then it's harder to, carry on. So how I lead with vibes is I know what the goal is. I know that my content is good. I can then understand that a piece of content may not have performed well. I analyze it. I look at it and I'm like, why did this not resonate? Like, perhaps I look at the comments and that's probably the analytical side of me. But first I lead with this. Does this feel good to read? If the answer is no, then I have my problem that I need to fix myself.
Yeah.
You need to take ruthless accountability for what you do and stop blaming the algorithm, the people, the impressions, the comments, the AI comments on LinkedIn. Like, all of these external things that you cannot control are not what's dictating your success. It's you. So I'm just not around in those rooms. Like, get yourself out of those rooms. Every time my friends start talking about it, I feel stressed. I don't look at the news. I don't look at Twitter news. I don't look at, social media drama.
Yeah.
Because again, I need to be distanced from this negative self-talk or talk around. It's not beneficial to anyone.
Yeah. And what I said was you don't get bitter, you get better. So the only thing you could do is just make better content. So in my head, I'm like, all right, cool. How can I make better content? And then we start thinking of ways to make better content, because that's the thing with me and my friends. We'll always try and grow from whatever is happening around us. And you mentioned women, like the way that women think in business and such, or like how women think just normally anyway, right? What do you see women doing? Like, where do you see women succeeding the most in business?
Where do I see them succeed?
Yeah, like what areas do you see them succeeding the most in business?
I think any area a woman can dominate, but there is a lot of limiting beliefs that we as women have that, oh, I can't do this because, oh, I can't do that because I'm not deserving of this because, and I had to deal with this, and I still go through it every single day, where we have been told, I guess, throughout, or every single woman that I know has been through a point in life where a man has looked down at them because of how they look. And I get this all the time now, and it's been incredibly annoying, where
As in, you get looked down on.
they equate my success to my beauty.
Oh.
And as someone who's worked so hard
Mm.
to become intelligent, or at least well educated, I've got a master's degree, I've got full-time like education.
Congratulations, by the way.
I built a business, thank you.
Yeah.
Built 2 businesses, and being told that the only reason I'm successful is because I'm pretty, that enrages me, that infuriates me.
Mm.
And this is not like some sort of feminist talk about women's rights and all of these things. Is simply what's real.
Mm.
It's not, oh, she's a feminist. No, it's just, this is what life is for women every single day. And women can succeed in every single area they are put in, as long as the environment allows them to shine.
So what can we do as men to make that a lot easier? Not even easier, but like how it should be.
I don't think it's a man thing, it's a society thing. I don't think the men that I surround myself with, and I'm very lucky again, none of them have ever judged me for what I look like. They were always very like, she's smart, let's, like, I'll support you.
Good.
But I think that that's also because I surround myself with a specific type of men, which is, I would say, high value men who are smart and intellectual enough to understand that beauty isn't everything. It's also like your intelligence. And so I don't know what the solution is. I just know that for any woman that is going through the same thing, you need to change your environment fast.
Yeah.
And find the people who are actually going to feed into that success. And if you can't find any, I was in that situation. And what I did was I just isolated myself for 6 months. When I was at university, I had no friends. I was literally just working on myself. Even when I was in the pandemic, I was listening to podcasts. And those were the conversations that I was dreaming of having. I was listening to whatever, maybe Joe Dispenza or another podcast, Jay Shetty. And they were having these conversations that I would dream of having with people. And through listening to them, I think I manifested the conversations that I have now with my friends.
Yeah.
Because I was putting myself in that frequency of, this is the standard. I was settling for the bare minimum. And over time, yes, I isolated myself, but I knew the power of being alone. Because a lot of us, including me, most people are scared of being alone.
Absolutely.
We don't know how to think. We don't know how to be in our own company. But when you force yourself to do that for a prolonged period of time, you understand that you're better off alone than with people that hate you or have no interest in seeing you succeed, or don't even understand what success means to you or what it can look like.
Heavy on that last one as well, because people that love you, even though they love you, sometimes their way of protecting you and showing that they love you is stopping you from doing things that are good for you.
Because it scares them.
Yeah.
It's the unknown for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of people judge their families as well for like not understanding, like they don't get me. And I'm like, they don't know any better.
That's it.
And I think it's our job to, break those patterns and then heal them in the process.
And I think also what you've said a few times now is your mentor or someone like your friend or something like that, right? So you probably have a few mentors, I'm assuming. How many do you have, by the way?
I have one main one. His name is Richard Moore.
Shout out to Richard Moore.
Shout out to Richard Moore.
Shout out to Richard Moore.
The best. Yeah.
So that's your main mentor.
He took me under his wing when I was like, literally my LinkedIn didn't even show how many followers I had. Like it was that
that level.
That early. And he had around like 50k followers, 40k followers.
Sick.
On LinkedIn. And I remember seeing when he sent me his connection request, and I was like, oh my God.
Wait, hold on. What? So how did it happen then? You reached out to him or he reached out to you?
He reached out to me, sort of. So like he connected with me. So when I posted my LinkedIn post, it went viral, like off the bat. And I got a bunch of new connections, and one of them was him. And I said, oh my God, I've seen you around. Like I had seen his profile. Obviously, when you go into a social media platform, you understand who the big players are. He was one of them.
Yeah.
And I got very excited, obviously, because when I first started my LinkedIn account, I was just a girl. Like I was just a unemployed girl with no job, no hope, no connections, no skill, nothing. I felt invisible.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel it the exact same way. And when someone like him gives you that attention that you think you were never worthy of, it changes a lot of things.
Wow.
So even that interaction, if he left it at that, I think he still would have changed my life the way he's done it. And like maybe not the way he's done it now, but
Mm-hmm.
he would have still played a massive part because I felt invisible. I felt like I wasn't worthy of any attention or following. And then he started talking to me, and he literally, like, I was like, hey, can I pick your brain for a thing?
Yeah.
And he said yes.
So
And
he actually said yes to the "Can I pick your brain" message.
yeah, he doesn't do that.
Mm.
And I was like, even up until this day, I asked him why. He's like, I just knew. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and he's like, I can spot a winner from like a mile off. And I was like,
Wow.
thank you. Like, even till this day, I'm just like very grateful that he saw in me what I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
still sometimes struggle to see it. And he has to sit me down and be like, Lara, you are who you have become. So yeah, that's how it happened. So picked his brain for 30 minutes. And I think in that conversation, he realized that I would be someone.
And the way that you actually reached out to him, or the way that you connected with him, was by putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Literally doing what you said you were going to do earlier on.
And I was
AKA
scared.
putting yourself out there and just doing the thing.
So yeah, so I actually, there's a funny story about my first LinkedIn post, and I think a lot of people need to understand this. Like, a lot of people struggle with creating their first LinkedIn post or even their second and the third, and they want it to be perfect. My first LinkedIn post that went viral, 4,000 likes, 300,000 impressions, was a simple introduction post where I was saying, hello, my name is Lara. Here's what I do. It wasn't perfect. I wasn't following any specific framework. I didn't have the perfect photo. And to be honest, the photo that I used was almost like a fake it till you make it moment where I literally begged my mom to take me to a coffee shop out of the house so I could look like I was remote working and I was like living the freelancer remote lifestyle dream. And I remember how ugly, depressed, and insecure I felt when I took that photo that sent me off to virality.
Wow.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing where I felt like this is never going to happen for me.
Mm.
And I was like, I don't even want to post myself because I don't feel like I look like it.
Mm.
But you don't have to be an expert to become one.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely need to start trying to become an expert.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I just took that leap and I posted that photo. And even though I hated it so much, I literally had to edit it, like put it through color grading and stuff because I hated the way I looked, I hated the way I felt. I put myself out there and it just led to so many opportunities, including mentors, friends, followers, and inbound leads from the back of it. LinkedIn built my business for me as soon as I let it. And I think I'm very spiritually led, like through grace and God and all of these other things. When you give yourself to God or the universe and you open yourself to their teachings, something happens that you become aware of the opportunities that life has for you. But you need to trust the process. And trusting the process is the hardest thing because we want to know.
Yeah.
The uncertain is the scariest thing. But I just allowed myself to just be in that moment and it happened.
Yeah, I think faith is the substance of things hoped for. I think the belief in things unseen, and also faith without works is dead.
Yeah,
this is what it says in the Bible. And literally, you had that faith, and you put in the work, so you got the results.
Yeah,
that is wonderful.
Yeah, we prayed at the start, so I appreciate that. Like,
of course.
I've just over the last 2 years, I started regaining my. I started my, God journey, whatever.
Yeah.
Through the pandemic and hitting rock bottom, I started praying to God for the very first time.
Wow.
And that's led me to God and religion.
Amazing. Cool. Amazing. You go church?
Huh?
Do you go church?
I try my best.
Okay.
I run to church and then I say hello and then I come back.
If you're ever down like around my area, you can come down to my church.
Thank you.
That's a nice place to be.
Thank you.
And I'll send you over a Bible plan as well. If you want. No, I will. I'll send you over a Bible plan as well. There's one that actually changed my life.
Okay.
And I was doing a 21-day fast at the start of this year. Lara, that was difficult. 21-day fast up until, not just like no food for the 21 days, but like up until 6 p.m. I wouldn't eat anything. I would just drink water.
That's insane.
And then and literally throughout the day, I would be reading the Bible. End of the day, break my fast, eat, and then do the same thing for 21 days. Big breakthroughs. Breakthroughs in the business, breakthroughs up here as well. Some of the books I was reading, things just started speaking to me. The word just started speaking to me as well in the Bible. It was crazy.
Interesting.
It was crazy. But yeah, man, that's had a big impact on my journey as well. And is that where you went when you were at rock bottom?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember it so vividly.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Like I wanted to kill myself at some point, and I was just like, this is the last chance I have at a good life, I guess. I don't know. And then I just remember talking to my mom about like how lost I felt and like how stressed that made me feel.
Yeah.
And obviously as a Latina, I felt so indebted to how hard my parents had worked.
Yeah.
And I just felt so much guilt for not being able to raise to the standard. And I just felt like I wasn't even being given a chance to do that. And so I think I remember like I prayed to God for the very first time, and I was like, listen, I will give you everything I have for this one thing. And all I wanted was to get accepted to university. That's all I asked for. Like,
Wow.
I just knew that was the one thing that could save me. I don't know why. And I promised him, because my mom is like sort of like religious, not really, but like yes and no. I don't know.
Okay, right.
My parents are Buddhist, but like they both grew up heavily Christian.
Right. Okay.
Big shift. But my mom was like, you need to pray to God, but you need to offer him something. Otherwise he's not gonna give you what you want. And I was like, okay. Hi God, I promise I won't scroll on Instagram for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Obviously then it didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi God, I promise I'm just gonna be nice to my parents. It didn't work.
Yeah.
And so when I hit the very rock bottom, I remember saying to him, I promise to you I won't drink alcohol for a year. And I think that for me was like I wasn't addicted to alcohol. It was something obviously that if I kept on drinking like a typical university student, it was going to send me into like...
It's going to be a problem.
Because it's not healthy to drink like freshest drink or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I think I said it with such conviction. I really meant it. Like I was like, please. I forgot about it completely. I stopped praying. Like my worries kind of like went away after I said that for some. But this is in hindsight. At the point of when it was happening, I didn't even realize it.
Wow.
And so kind of like I did that. I was still very stressed, and then the next morning, like life just started working out, and then one thing led to another. I was searching for something, and I see this one Gary Vee keynote speech titled "LinkedIn is going to change everything in 2021, 2022," and I was like, okay. And then Gary Vee goes like, you didn't listen to me about TikTok, listen to me about LinkedIn. This is only the last chance of doing X, Y, and Z. And I was like, all right. I restarted my LinkedIn account because I didn't have one, because I had deleted it previously because I hated the platform. Yeah. Just useless for me. Studied it for a bit. And for some reason, I became so addicted to this platform. Like, it was like a drug. Why would a Gen Z girl become so terribly obsessed with this B2B platform that she has nothing to do with and no insight or anything? I don't know. It just was born through me, I guess. Obviously now I know that it's like God planted the seed and I didn't know. And then posted my first post, it went viral, and then it ended up changing my life. Crazy. And then I haven't drank a sip of alcohol ever since, and it's been 3 years. Yeah. Yes.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Actually been wow. That's the same amount of time as me.
Oh, really?
I made a decision as well. It was around like end of lockdown, kind of those times. And I said, yeah, I'm just not good. It just doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't. And I didn't make a promise to God though. But you know what's so interesting about what you said? There's a verse in the Bible that says, God gives us a peace that surpasses all understanding. Aww. And you had that peace.
Yeah.
That's wild. I didn't even know the episode was going to go this way. I love talking about God, as you can probably see.
I enjoy the conversations about God.
Amazing. But I did not know the episode was going to go this way, but here we are. Here we are. There is one more thing that I want to ask you, actually. Now, there's this lady that I met the other day when I was at this it's kind of like lunch at Ambassador's house. She said, when I told her the whole idea about the podcast, she said, that is so good. That's amazing. I love it. I was like, yeah, I know. It's pretty good, right? And then she said, you know what, you should end your podcast. Her name's Mel. Shout out to Mel. What she said, she said you should end your podcast off with asking people what are they deficient in?
Oh, because it's a vitamin.
What vitamin are you deficient in? So we talked about, okay, what comes together to make your vitamin U. What are you deficient in? Some people it's like family time. Some people it's friends. Some people, what would it be for yourself? Because there's always sacrifices you need to make in order to achieve a level of success.
Okay, what's yours? Let me think about mine.
I would say my deficiency right now is fun.
Oh, interesting. You know, A lot of entrepreneurs always say that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a fun person, but then I don't do enough fun things, in my opinion. I went roller skating the other day, though. That was good. I enjoyed it. It was good. Have you been roller skating?
Yeah, it's not for me.
It's not for you?
No.
What would you say you're deficient in?
What am I deficient in? You know what? Nothing right now. I've been working very hard on filling those deficiencies. If you asked me 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
I had like a very big introspective session with my therapist, and I realized I was lacking fun, but I was also lacking deep connection. I'm very introverted now. I'm an extrovert, but I became very introverted, and I've been lacking really true deep connections where I feel good around to let my inner child out. A lot of us grow up so fast through entrepreneurship that we neglect the inner child that wants to just be seen and loved.
Yeah.
And for me, it's been finding the people that enable me to feel safe enough that I can be giddy and cute and not just be so dominant in the space. And after that, I've been hanging out with all of my friends, and I'm just really, really happy, and I feel so full. I'm definitely not deficient on anything right now. I think I'm overflowing with abundance of vitamins.
I love that.
Yeah, a lot of them is like my friends, family, and my business.
Amazing. Well, Lara, thank you
so
for
much
sharing.
For having me.
It's all right. Thank you for coming on. Everybody, this is the Vitamin U podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode because I enjoyed it. And I will see you on next week's or the week after this episode. Speak soon. Bye.